Hey everyone, it's GamerPops again. I'm Jeff, joined by Greg. Say hi, Greg.
Hi.
So today we're talking about, on our Let's Talk About series, toys and video games. Specifically, you know what we're talking about, Skylanders, Disney Infinity, and the newest entrant this year to talk about, the Nintendo Amiibo. We've covered we've covered all of these in some way, shape, or form. And just thought we'd do a little follow-up and talk about them a little bit more and where we're at with our various households and whatnot. So I thought maybe we'll start with the one that really kind of started it all, with Skylanders. As you probably saw on our website, our review on YouTube, Trap Team is the latest iteration that came out this year with a whole bunch of new Skylanders to collect and a whole new adventure, etc., etc. And so, Greg, you reviewed that one. How have you guys gone back to it at all since you finished the review?
We've gone back to it a little bit. My kids have been sticking a lot more to Lego, starting with Lego Batman coming out, and then Minecraft is just evergreen in our house.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, we've been going back to Skylanders every now and then. Certainly the figures get brought out to play, and as I said in my review, now that we're 4 years into Skylanders, you can really start to see the value of those characters, if I can get into fancy words, when you kind of amortize the value out.
Ooh.
That $10 Skylander that I bought 4 years ago, now it's a couple of bucks a game is what it's working out to be. Mm-hmm. So I'm starting to see the value of the investment in Skylanders, in that my kids, they still use all kinds of the characters. I mean, certainly there's the ones you have to use with any game, but they're still happy to drag out, and especially when they don't really think strategically as they play, and they get half of our characters killed every level. They're certainly churning through a lot. So,
that was me and Gavin. My youngest son, Gavin, 5. We just got Trap Team for Christmas, and Gavin, all the boys have been just playing the crap out of the game, and Gavin, especially the 5-year-old, he needed my help. We were, going through the final boss battle, and and that gets a little bit tricky. And and same thing you said, he was just churning through characters. Every minute, another character would lose health, and be but we've got this army of Skylanders that we continue to get value out of. We were using guys from every game that came out. I went for a long time with Igniter, who was in the original Spyro's Adventure. But he's one of our more powerful characters because he's max leveled up and whatnot from being played so much, right? But you're talking about that's the value of having that collection. We could just use all the guys we want, and it's terrific. And yes, you amortize it just nicely when you do that.
Yeah, so we're kind of the same way. We keep playing the game, and the games are good quality too. Mm-hmm. And that's what's really important, is that these are we're getting to that point where it's time for a little bit of maybe some new creativity, and maybe a little more variety, but they're just still solid, enjoyable games, which is the very minimum you should hope for.
We've broken a trap already, eh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It got dropped from one floor to another, and it broke in half. It still works. The kids don't. I tried to hot glue together. Yes, it just didn't stick. Kids are rough on this stuff, right? Yeah. But fortunately, just like our Chop one Chop figure, who is now just a pair of legs, it still works, at least, as long as you put the base on it properly.
Exactly. And I mean, we've got a few, especially when I buy the figures, and I kind of direct the kids towards buying figures, we lean towards ones that are a little stockier and bulkier. Things like Stealth Elf, for example. Would they have the thinner arms? Those just snap off like twigs.
Yep.
So you get the big, bulky, meaty characters.
The Trap Masters are kind of like that now, the Giants before them and whatnot.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly you don't have the issue of losing half your figure, which if you lose the wrong half, you're done.
Oh, the stupid Swap Force guys. That's an ongoing struggle with trying to keep them together. Literally keep them together.
I don't know where Washbuckler's bottom half is. It's just gone.
Oh, Skylanders go missing and get discovered around their house like nobody's business. So, it is what it is. And the kids are still buying the figures. They still want to go out to the store and get them. The minis are really cute, by the way. I love the kids are, Gavin really liked Eye Small. We had to go play Eye Small and Eye Brawl as a father and son level playing together, and he actually said like Eyebrow is the daddy and Eye Small is the kid. So that was kind of cute.
Yeah, that's adorable. Yeah. And just another way that Activision is getting your money.
They certainly are.
So I think we can say on the whole, Skylanders still a success and still continuing, and and the value just keeps increasing, which is good because we keep putting a lot more money into them every year.
Yes, we do. You mentioned the quality of the game, which I think is maybe where the next one we want to talk about, Disney Infinity, I guess maybe falls a little bit short, and maybe part of it. Because here's the thing. Disney Infinity should just be a no-brainer because it's well-known and beloved characters, right? It never caught on in my house, really. Not to the extent that Skylanders did with made-up brand-new characters, I found. I think part of that has to do with the nature of the game itself.
Yeah, so I've played the 2 Disney Infinity games quite extensively. I haven't really felt terribly inclined to get into the characters. The basic games just aren't the same as Skylanders, where any character you have is going to work. They kind of get divided out into characters that'll work in the story mode and then general toy box fun. So the stories are okay. It's pretty. I mean, even the Avengers one this year was a little bit basic, a lot repetitive, and not, certainly not quite up to where the Skylanders games are. Mm-hmm. But the problem is the toy box could be great. It's just I found, especially letting my kids loose on it, they got kind of bored and frustrated with it because it's not nearly as intuitive as you'd like. Even something as simple as you have to place the ground plates. A little thing like that. Like my kids are dropping stuff in midair because it's just not immediately intuitive and, helping them out. Yeah. And that was an issue. And so they just, they didn't quite get into it. And they'd rather, if they're going to build, they're going to go with Minecraft. And that's what they do. Yeah, so same here. There's still a chance for Disney Infinity, but I feel like they've got one more shot, and then the window is probably closed on that one.
Yeah, I find they trail still significantly, at least in our house's mind share, behind Skylanders at least.
And the biggest issue for me too, other than that, was the biggest remaining issue was that I wanted more of a Kingdom Hearts kind of experience, where I wanted Mickey and Captain America to team up, but it was really with this one, it was very much a it's an Avengers game, but if you want to do the toy box stuff, you can use your Disney characters as well.
Yeah, I never liked that aspect of it. I agree with you because like limiting characters to certain toy sets, just it takes away some of what it could be, I guess.
Yeah, and when we talk about the value and the long-term value of the Skylanders, you're not getting that with Disney Infinity in the same way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll give them another year, but I'm not as impressed yet as I'd like to be. Mm-hmm. Which then brings us to the new kids on the block. Not the new kids on the block, but the newest figures.
Sorry.
Thanks for listening, folks. All right. So let's talk Nintendo's Amiibos. Mm-hmm. Now, I've said from the beginning when Skylanders first came out, how was this not Pokemon? Mm-hmm. And if I remember correctly, the original concept was working with Nintendo, and instead of Skylanders and Spyro, we may have actually seen Pokemon, which, you think of the amount of money you've spent on Skylanders now. Oh, my God. And that's not even counting the fact that your kids are Pokemon obsessed. Mm-hmm. They would have no college fund, right?
No, they absolutely would not. They would have no money themselves. I'd be taking out another mortgage on the house probably. It would have been that bad because all 3 of my kids are Pokemon obsessed. And I'm almost kind of glad that there aren't a lot of Pokemon theme Amiibo yet because I've got Pikachu. I'm holding them right now in my hand because we'd have a lot more of these little guys.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Nintendo did it in a different way, which is sort of the Nintendo way. Yeah. So with the Skylanders, Skylanders get their own game. Disney Infinity gets its own game. Amiibos, they work with your Nintendo games, which kind of makes sense because if you have a Wii U and you're a Nintendo fan, odds are you're probably buying all of the games that that the amiibos work with anyway. Your Smash Brothers, your Mario Kart. Do they work? Are they going to work with? They're going to work with the new Mario Party, right?
I think, yeah, they're going to find a way to make them work. And don't forget, the Amiibos are limited to work with one game at a time. So I've got, right now, all the Amiibos that are out are Smash Brothers themed. They've got the little Smash Brothers bases, so they actually look like the trophies that you get that you win in that game for doing various things. And I've got 6 of them right here, and they're all like that. But if I want to use one of these in Mario Kart, it'll wipe out my data from Smash Brothers, and it'll then make it. It'll override it with Mario Kart stuff. So they're only really designed to work with one game at a time, and it's not fully fleshed out yet, I don't think. As I'm looking at my new Zelda amiibo that I got in my stocking for Christmas, which is pretty cool. I've got a half dozen of these things, and but they don't. You can't control them in Smash Brothers, and it's in its infancy, so maybe they're still figuring out how they're going to make all this work. But I was a little disappointed, as I mentioned in my Smash review, that they don't do more. I can't control these level up fighters. They're basically just almost like little Pokemon that I sort of train up, raise their level, and but I can't control them. They're computer AI fighters, but just maybe a little bit smarter and tougher. But the figures themselves are really cool, and they're selling like hotcakes, and people are doing like amiibo trading, groups and things like that, or like trying to find amiibos, rare amiibos and things like that. And something's successfsuccessful when they're selling ones for $2,000 on eBay.
Wow, yeah, and but as I said, like, what are you actually gonna do with them? Is the biggest issue, and that's why one of the reasons I haven't jumped into that. I mean, the other one is we've already spent enough money on other stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not as inclined to buy the figures just for show, and I don't really.
They do show nicely, by the way. They're sitting on my display shelf right now.
They do, but as I said, to you, I would much rather just spend the money on another Funko character, which I would love even more. But it's just until we see if Nintendo actually can build a game around these, and that's where I thought we'd see a Pokemon, because it just made so much sense. The Skylanders work because there's a dedicated game. Disney Infinity has a dedicated game, and as I said, doesn't necessarily work. But with the Amiibos, you're just kind of, at this point, you're kind of buying them on the hopes that Nintendo figures out what to do with it.
Yeah. And
sometimes hoping that Nintendo can figure things out works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I'm holding off on the Amiibos for now, and unfortunately that's going to mean I'm going to miss some characters that for some reason will sell for hundreds and thousands of dollars on eBay in a couple of years. But there's just a good chance that, when it comes to that point, nobody's going to want Amiibos, and I can pick them up for $1.50.
There's a good chance of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our look at toys and video games. Hopefully we don't have any more interest in this series anytime soon, because I literally just can't afford it. So for Greg, I'm Jeff. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.